Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about 4 farmers, 4 wives, and Kimberly Williams-Paisley's avant-garde tradwife costumes.
Season 3 of Farmer Wants a Wife has come to an end, and truly the most dramatic conclusion yet. I think we can honestly say that, unlike Jesse Palmer every time he introduces an AFR.
Yeah, well, the
There's only
baseline,
3.
the baseline is a lot lower because none of the previous conclusions have been dramatic at all, as far as I can remember. And so for that, we have to thank Colton, truly so much for choosing chaos and violence, frankly, in his finale performance.
I also have to thank Jordan for choosing verbal violence.
Yes.
An icon, a legend.
These people are really stepping it up. These farmers and farmhands, they know what we need. A little housekeeping before we dive into the 2-part finale of Farmer Wants a Wife. We did recap, finally, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives Season 2 over on Rich Text, our Substack. You can find that at claireandemma.substack.com.
We had so much to say. Also, reminder, we're down to, I think, fewer than 5 tickets left to our live show.
Yeah.
So
it's entirely possible that they'll be gone by the time this comes out. So fingers crossed. Hope to see you there. And on that note, let's begin. First, we have our second part of the Meet the Families portion.
Yeah, we got 2 back-to-back episodes for this finale. So a whole lot of content.
4 hours of television.
And you know what? I loved every minute of it. It was 2 hours of television.
I honestly thought
Not
that
4.
these... Oh, no, you're right. Why did
This is because you're thinking of The Bachelor.
Why did it feel like so much? No, I'm kidding. No, it was great. It was wonderful. I actually felt like these episodes were more exciting than Bachelor Hometown States, and maybe that's partly because I thought it was 2 hours long and it just flew right by because it was 1 hour long. So anyway, here we are. We start the episode in a field. A tractor rolls by, and Kimberly Williams-Paisley appears, walking down the dusty lane, wearing a red basket weave button-down mini dress with lace trim and very pronounced puffed shoulders. My first thought when I saw this was that she was wearing like a Chanel-style tweed.
No, this is like a play on Dorothy.
Yeah, it's like a basket weave.
Deranged. I think this is her most deranged look of the whole season.
And I'm not even done to describing because she's got this red basket weave mini dress with lace trim on with the giant puff sleeve, but she also has on a blue neckerchief. And again, the dress reads as sort of like Chanel tweed. We're dressing it way down with the neckerchief, and then she's wearing tall black boots.
It's bad.
Which go with nothing.
I was actually appalled.
It's giving Dolores Umbridge dressing up for the 4th of July. I was like, Kimberly Williams-Paisley is a national treasure. She deserves better than this.
She also deserves better hair and makeup. I was very upset at the hair and makeup choices we saw in those final 2 episodes. I don't know. I think she needs to fire her team.
I was telling Greg about this show, and he was like, Kimberly Williams? I would have done anything for her when I was in 6th grade. And
yeah,
I was like,
obviously.
Yes, that was everyone's reaction. She deserves the world. And instead, they are putting her in this getup that there are just no words for, quite frankly. But Kimberly doesn't want us to look at her outfit. She wants us to get excited for the farmers to meet their second round of families.
And I am excited because we were waiting for Claire's mom to grill Farmer John.
Oh, I was so excited, and maybe more excited than I should have been because Claire's mom does not choose violence.
She's very nice.
But it's still a fun meeting. So first we meet Claire's family. Farmer John is in a newsboy cap and tells us that Claire is witty and calming and puts him at ease. But he is concerned about things like their fundamental views and values and stuff like that.
You know, small things like that.
Yeah, how they're all different. And he says he's hoping to get clarity on Claire from Claire's mom and sister. This sort of like clarity play is something I hear a lot as a Claire.
As a Claire, you're like, yeah. I've experienced it. I see you, Claire. Solidarity.
I really felt like I was part of the show, the way he kept talking about Claire.
I mean, a brunette named Claire.
Daughter of a professor, raised
from a
progressive,
Midwestern town.
From a Midwestern town. I mean, are we the same? Except she's much hotter than me and younger and willing to marry a libertarian. Claire's mom and sister arrive from Michigan. As mentioned, Claire's mom is a professor, and Claire's like, she's had a great career. I want to be just like her.
I love her mom.
Oh, her mom is great.
And her sister. The vibes are good.
Her sister has bangs and red lipstick and is like slightly more alt. This whole episode, by the way, is the mom and sister episode. Every one of them brings a mom and a sister.
Dad's absent. Who needs them?
There's only one dad. 3 sets of moms and sisters, and the 4th set of mom and sister bring the dad as well.
You know what? I was honestly fine with it. I was like, we don't have the dads. We don't get weird patriarchal energy.
Yeah. And what we see is like slightly more alt sisters. Like they're all a little bit less optimized for reality TV. Yeah. Like one of them has a full sleeve. This sister has bangs and red lipstick and like is wearing like chunky black loafers. And then they have their more reality TV friendly sister who is just like clean girl style hottie with highlights. And her mom tells us that Claire is bright and needs a partnership where she can be an adult accomplishing things in the world. I love that the tension we've set up is like, John is traditional. Claire wants to be an adult and accomplish things in the world. And as a woman, that's obviously
isn't allowed.
It's controversial, I would say. It's controversial for a woman to want those things.
Also, I just Googled Claire's mom. She teaches at Western Michigan University. She's a professor in the Department of Occupational Therapy, and she went to NYU.
Look at that. I respect that. So John's parents are out of town. So 4 of his siblings are meeting the family. When they said that, I did like a spit take. I was like, what do you mean 4 of his siblings? There are more?
Does he have 5?
Yeah, he's one of 6.
5. Yeah.
Claire's mom grew up on a farm, as it happens, and so did John's mom, because, of course, that is the farm that he keeps referring to. The farm is from his maternal side, his maternal grandfather. And they compare notes on how long the farms have been in the family, but John wins.
6 generations, if I recall.
And her mom is like, oh, okay, like, wow, 6. She has to stand down. It's only been 100 years for her family farm. Claire's mom, Diane, and sister Maddie take some time to grill John separately. And he tells them that what he likes about Claire is that she's hysterical and witty and thinks a lot and has her opinions on things, but is easygoing. What a roller coaster.
That woman, she thinks. It's pretty crazy.
I was like, oh, a man who likes that a woman is funny, who seems to think it's interesting and unusual for her to have her own opinions on things and that she's easygoing. I can't tell if this is a good attitude.
I mean, this is how I constantly feel with John. I'm like, am I repelled by him? Am I into him? It's very confusing.
As we were saying before we started recording, of the 4 farmers, he is sort of infuriating to us. But perhaps in part because he is the one we are most likely to have personally known someone like, or even to have dated ourselves. And there is that push-pull of like, we're similar. Like, we too are people who might go to law school. Like, we come from similar, we have city experiences. And yet there's such a deep mismatch here.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time.
And then, but he's really like into perhaps a woman who has a much stronger personality and opposite opinions as him on certain things.
It's the Sean Lowe trap. We'll get into it. Her mom asks if he sees himself getting married in the next 5 years, and he says probably towards the 3rd or 4th year. And he adds, I would like a traditional family. That can be controversial.
And she's like, what does that mean?
So he clarifies that he'd like to work and have his wife be home with the children. And her mom seems politely shocked.
Oh, her mom is just really trying to be kind and not fuck things up for her daughter this whole time. But you can see that she's alarmed.
Yeah, I was going to say politely alarmed is kind of what I would describe her affect as being for most of this meeting.
She's like, oh, huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, really?
So, John, what are girls for?
When she asks him this, he looks so suspicious. Like he knows she's trying to trap him, and she's just smiling beatifically at him, like it's the most innocent question in the world. And finally, he clarifies, girls or women, which I think is he's kind of getting the upper hand here. He's like, "Oh, aren't they women, really? If you think about it." And she's like, "Women, yes. What are women for?"
And he's like, I have an answer.
Yeah, he's like, the wheels are turning. He's like got his chin on his chin in his hand, thinking.
He does not know what the fuck to say because he's like, don't say mother and wife. Don't say mother
Don't
and wife.
say baby factory. Don't say washing dishes. Don't
Is
say.
Claire aware that she's signed up for a life of dishwashing with zero help?
Well, she knows now if she watched the season. Finally, he produces Women Are a Missing Piece. And Diane and Maddie very kindly say that this is a good answer. And he gives like an exaggerated brow swipe. And I was like, is it a good answer?
No, it's just not the worst answer you could give. And I think they are relieved.
Right. It
I
wasn't
really
like
think-
women are for being at home in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant.
I suspect that she was worried he was going to say that. So she's like, a missing piece. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Of course, I'm, completely brain poisoned by internet gender discourse. So I was like, oh, a missing piece, like the rib that was taken out of Adam's side to like make a companion for him because he's the person and she's just sort of something that was brought here to entertain him and she's just like an accessory to him. Is that what you mean, John? Does anyone ever say, oh, a man is a missing piece? No, the man is the whole and the woman is the piece that needs to be clicked into place in the puzzle.
To be clear, I'm still concerned.
But Diane and Maddie have clearly decided that this is good enough and Claire likes him and they're not going to rock the boat. Claire talks to the sisters who say that John is their most sensitive brother, Jesus Christ. And Claire agrees and says that John has noticed her discomfort through the process and has looked out for her, which is nice. Diane then talks to John's siblings, and his brothers tell her that John just loves hunting, and that's something that they really associate with John. And
yeah, she's again politely alarmed.
Again, Claire grew up vegetarian, so if I were going to extrapolate about what Claire's family's views on hunting would be, my guess is not super enthusiastic. And Diane kind of jokes like, oh, well, Claire did ballet, so it's pretty different. But she's definitely still trying to stay positive. She tells the camera like, well, it's different from us, but Claire is someone who really appreciates different perspectives. And I will say that I really respected this. I am someone who can be a little bit, this will shock everyone, a little bit rigid, a little judgmental, a little doctrinaire. And while I think there's a place for that, I mean, we live amidst rising fascism, certain views matter. I also think that there can be a lot of value in being someone who like lets the people around you be who they are and is open.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, all of us have lines when it comes to like basic human rights.
Yeah. But I appreciate that she's looking at her daughter and she's like, here's something that
she is an open person. Yeah. I admire that about her. Yeah.
She's seeing her daughter as a whole person and appreciating what there is to appreciate about who Claire
and, like,
actually
is. What she might see in this person.
Right. Exactly.
Also, like, again, her daughter's 24. There's no obligation to marry anyone on this show.
Yeah. Who would marry someone that they met when they were 24? Honestly, couldn't be me. We see John telling her also that he doesn't want a clone and he doesn't want someone who's exactly like him. And I was like, oh, bad news for Lily. Because all he ever tells Lily is we're the same.
We're exactly the same. I mean, and that is sort of consistent with what we've seen of John. Like, he will make all these really strong statements about what he needs, but then the women who come on and just like parrot exactly what he believes he wants, he doesn't seem that into them.
Or he'll like say to one woman like, oh, you're perfect because you're exactly the same as me, and then he'll say to another, you're perfect because you're not exactly the same as me, and I don't want someone who's exactly the same as me.
No, he does genuinely like Lily, but like Juliana, for example.
Right. Yeah. And who was it who was the nanny who was very like too submissive and sweet?
Oh yeah.
And he had to send her home. Apparently because she gave him a wet willy, I think.
Oh, yes. That was the one.
Yeah, he mentioned this in like an interview
In a
that he
podcast.
did. Yeah. So Diane asks John if he wants a lot of kids, and he says yes. She asks if he will be strict, and he says yes, because he wants to be just like his parents.
At this point, I was like, I have never seen someone more overtly horny for disciplining their non-existent children than this man. Like, this comes up like 5 times in the last few episodes. It's like the main thing that he wants as a parent.
He's like, when I think about kids, I think about disciplining my kids, and boy, I can't wait.
I feel like that's something that like is necessary as a parent, but I'm not just like, I don't know, when you're just like sitting there imagining what life would be like if and when you have children, it's just so funny to me that you would be like, I really look forward to punishing them.
Yeah,
that just feels good.
Disciplines.
Can't wait to ground my kids and give them a strict curfew.
Spare the rod, spoil the child. I wonder if you have a lot of kids, like enough kids, then you don't have time to spend with your kids. So the main relationship they have with you is you disciplining them. I don't know. Sometimes it feels that way with my 5-year-old, and I only have 2 kids, but I don't enjoy it very much.
Right. I've never heard you say like, wow, the thing I really love the most about being a parent is when I really get to lay down the law with my 5-year-old.
That's something that's really important to me. He's really determined to have this be his relationship with his kids, but Diane tells him something really troubling. This is Claire's dark secret. She was not raised in a strict household. Diane says that when her daughters turned 16 and got cars, she let them come and go as they pleased. They weren't, there were rules like don't get in a car with someone who's drinking, that sort of thing.
She said, like, I told them I would always come pick them up, no judgment, as long as they're not in a car with someone who's drunk driving. And
it wasn't like a curfew-based household or like I have to give you permission to go to a party household.
I was like, this is the household I grew up in. I really related to this
I honestly couldn't tell you because I had no social life. I have no idea what the boundaries were. I never pushed them. My dad probably would have like driven me to a party without asking a question if I wanted to go
Claire,
to. Please,
get out of here.
It's like when I was your age, I like had friends. I don't know what's going on with you.
I was just like, this was exactly how my parents were. They were very much like, please don't binge drink, but we will never, like, there's no fear of punishment. We would rather you be safe. Like, if you find yourself in a situation where you need to be picked up, we will pick you up, no questions asked. Do not ever drink and get behind the wheel. Do not ever, like, bring weed into a car and drive around. Like, it was very practical, and they were like, we trust you to be smart about it.
Yeah.
And I do think, like Claire's mom is saying, I do think it made me more responsible ultimately.
Yeah, that is what she says. John is really thrown by this. He's like,
wait,
I was disciplined harshly and that made me responsible. And that's how I pictured my future with children. That is not how I pictured it. And I hope my wife and I will see eye to eye when it comes to discipline and laying down rules. Discipline daddy.
I'm like, is this... Maybe John's just like a little kinky.
It's like, I really hope my wife and I see eye to eye about discipline, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You're like, babe, do I have to get out the ruler? I don't know. I'm just saying. I think maybe there are some unexplored kinks here that John should get into.
I mean, it would make sense if he grew up with a lot of discipline in his childhood. Maybe that's something he wants to explore in like a safe and consensual setting.
Exactly. And I support him.
I totally support that. I also do think that like having to sort of, I would say that Claire and her sisters seem like pretty chill girls.
Sure.
They might have had different disciplinary needs
that
like
is very true.
6 high energy, like 4 boys, I think, in their family. I do think it can be a little bit like kid by kid, and that there might be some, but that's one of the things that is tough about having such a firm disciplinary policy before the kids are even born is you need to be responsive to what your kids actually need.
That's the thing. I'm not like opposed to discipline.
No,
like,
you're
on
pro.
principle.
In fact, if someone wanted to, like, in a consensual way, like,
wants to be
explore
spanked
that
in a sexual way, I support you. No, but it's like the rigidity, I think, that freaks me
Yeah.
out about that attitude.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't met your kids yet.
But he's met himself, and his kids are going to be exactly like him and his 5 siblings, and they're going to have the same life that he had. This can, if you have a really good childhood, I think there is this idea. It's like, I'm just going to do exactly that. And he and Claire both have that mindset. They're like, my parents did an amazing job. I want to be just like my parents. Unfortunately, their parents were very different from each other.
Right.
So after the meeting, John's siblings are big fans of Claire, and they tell John that they're quite different, but they think their differences make them work. And John completely agrees. He does raise his concerns about Claire's mom's shitty parenting and whether Claire would make the same horrific mistakes, which he doesn't put it that way, but you can kind of tell what he's thinking. Meanwhile, Diane tells Claire that John wants a stay-at-home mom. Like, did she know that? What does she think about that? And Claire's like, well, I've always wanted to be a mom. I want to be exactly like you as a mom because you were such an amazing mom. And you worked a job where you were home with them a lot, home with us a lot. I'm like, Claire, your mom was a professor.
It's not the same thing. I mean, my mom also had a job where she chose certain hours. She worked a healthcare job, and she was often home. Like, when we got home from school, she chose an early shift. That is not the same as not working.
It's not. It's not. And
like,
my parents were the same. Like, my mom had a flexible career, especially when we were young, so she could be home with us more. My dad was a professor. He was home a lot, and it would just be like he's reading in the study. But they had careers. They were not as available to us as a stay-at-home parent. And if he wants his wife to be a stay-at-home mom, I'm sure he doesn't want his wife to be a professor. Professors actually do a lot of work.
I really want to ask John some follow-up questions because he seems so strong in these opinions when he expresses them. But I do wonder, like, how important is it actually to him?
And, like, as someone who, I think I'm very similar to Claire in certain ways. I always wanted to be a mom a lot. When I got pregnant with my older son, I remember talking to our old editor, who was a good friend, being like, maybe I won't really come back to work in the same way. Maybe I'll just freelance and be a mom most of the time. And then it turned out I really didn't want that, Like, I loved being a mom, but I didn't want to be home all the time and trying to fit in freelancing around that. What if my husband was like, no.
You have to.
Right. Like, for me to be with someone who has strong views on whether I'm allowed to do that would be really limiting. And so you might think beforehand, like, oh, but maybe that would work for me. Well, how would you feel if it didn't work for you and he still really wants you to be in that role?
Right.
That freaks me out. Like, for a man to have those views really forecloses a lot of options for women before they really are able to know what that life would be like.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a different thing to be like, I want my wife to be able to stay home with the kids if that's what she wants.
Right.
Oh,
if there were,
like, that's
sure,
different.
maybe that's what you both want.
Right.
Or maybe
but
it's
she's not really indicating that that's what she wants.
She seems more to be like, it's not so different from what I want, which is to be a mom and have flexible hours and be able to spend a lot of time with my kids. Okay, but it's different. It is different. And if he's not as open to compromise as you are, then you're in a tough spot.
I have follow-ups.
And Claire does too. She's like, there's the middle ground. We can talk about it. Diane and Maddie both say they like John better than they thought, which talk about damning with faint praise. They're like, we thought we would hate him.
I was like, yeah, this tracks.
But he seems really nice and considerate.
I feel like I would have the same reaction to John. I do have the same reaction to John in so many ways.
We are Diane and Maddie. Diane and Maddie is us. And unlike us, Diane is like, I'm not here to come off as a feminist witch on national TV. So
she knows the people that generally overwhelmingly watch Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah, no, she's being very careful. That night, John and Claire have a date of sitting on a couch at his mansion, and she asks if meeting her mom brought him a perspective, and he says yes, and he's just weighing things like the way she was brought up He says, you guys were free, but you had trust. Like, it's this crazy thing. And
Yeah,
Claire's like,
he's like
yeah.
really processing. Like before he's like, that's horrible and
Right.
all I want is discipline. And then he's had like 3 hours to think about it. And it's dawning on him that Claire actually turned out kind of great.
In a way, he seems quite sheltered. He's like, I've only
Yeah.
experienced one kind of family. And so my conception is family like mine that is one way and it works really well. And the other way is just like people don't give a fuck and their kids are running around without any discipline and they're getting into all kinds of trouble. He's like, wait,
he's
now I'm
literally
hearing about
seems
like
like his mind is blown.
it's like I'm hearing about like a trust-based approach to parental relationships that worked. Like Claire is great. Like maybe, okay, interesting. And Claire's like, well, yeah, it's hard to say because you and your siblings turned out amazing. And he's like, so did you. Like, I'm having an existential crisis.
Yeah.
I thought
John
this was the only way.
truly is having his mind blown.
It's so funny because, like, you can be parented any kind of way and turn out great. It doesn't mean it doesn't matter how you parent, but, you know,
That's
there's
the
no
thing.
one perfect way, and all the other ways always result in catastrophe, turns out. After this, Claire says that they have been a slow burn, but she loves their story. And as he walks her home to, like, I guess a guest house or just a different entrance, she jokes that they should just run away together, and they make out. Seems like it's going well.
He's into her. Who'da thunk? On that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we're going to get into Farmer Colton's family meeting.
Can you keep up? I love it.
And we're back. So Farmer Colton is meeting Zoe's family. And after having talked about his son and his future partner's relationship with his son with Keely's family, he's even more aware that he really needs to take things slow. Like, this is really dawning on him.
Yeah, it is dawning on him like right before the decision that maybe he doesn't even really want a girlfriend.
Oh, Colton. But if he does, here's
It's
Zoe. She encompasses the word beauty, which
Means
poetry.
things for sure.
She encompasses it. She contains beauty. Zoe meets Colton's parents and grandma, and then her mom, Jeanette, and sister, Cheyenne, arrive. Cheyenne is the one with the full sleeve. She's sort
Yeah.
of got more of like an
I liked
indie
it.
folk singer vibe. Yeah.
I liked her tattoos.
They were like art, like a black,
Like line tattoos
tattoos of flowers. Yeah.
Very much my style.
Yeah. And the families just vibe really well. Her mom seems super agreeable, just ready to be charmed by
She's really
everything. They have a hearty meal of homegrown beef. And her mom is like, well, Zoe's actually a country girl at heart, and this is just great. And you guys all seem wonderful. And Zoe would fit right in. Zoe goes and talks to Colton's parents, Trina and Mike, and tells them that she's getting her doctorate in anesthesiology, but once she has it, she'll be willing to move and pursue her career anywhere. Jeanette talks to Colton and asks what makes Zoe stand out, and he says that she's damn near a genius. And he like can't get over the fact that she's getting a degree in something that he can't spell. He's like,
You know, he's
oh my
shook.
God. He's literally to the core. And he's like, I am concerned about pulling her away from what she wants to do in life. And her mom and sister are like, don't worry about that. What do you mean what she wants to do in life? She's fine. I think they're trying to say, like, she will put her career first if she needs to. You don't have to worry that you'll distract her.
Yes.
But it
yeah.
sounds like they're just like, who cares about her career?
No, I think they're just very much like, she's 22 and she's definitely going to have a career. So, like,
Yeah.
make it work if you can.
Yeah, she's going to focus. She's going to put her career first, but she's flexible. She doesn't need to do her career in any particular place. So, like, yeah. Jeanette is like, you guys are young. The world is your oyster. After the meeting, Jeanette tells Zoe that they are a beautiful family and Colton has a good head on his shoulders. And Zoe asks if they think he's handsome, and they do.
And he is handsome.
This is, I guess, what it's like to have female relatives. I've never asked my brothers or my dad if they think that anyone I'm dating is handsome.
No.
I'm like, it doesn't matter what you think.
I mean, I don't think that's really something I like asked my mom. I was like, it's not
It's
really
like, it doesn't
relevant.
matter.
If
Yeah,
my
if
mom
you-
doesn't need to be attracted to my boyfriends. It's weird.
It's like the one thing that you don't need your family to gut check for you.
Yeah.
But she is 22.
Yes.
Colton's family loved Zoe. She seems so smart and fun to be around. So everything's going great. Afterward, Colton takes Zoe and her white bell bottoms for a date,
This
sitting in
seems-
lawn chairs by the river.
Really dangerous on a farm.
I
White
mean,
jeans. Living on the edge, Zoe.
I can't wear white jeans anywhere.
Well, exactly.
Just the other day, I considered buying a white top, and I was like, Claire, are you insane? Like, it's white.
See, I love the color white, but every item of clothing I own does have a stain on it.
I've never
that is white.
noticed.
Like,
So
it's
clearly you just need to go for it.
I mean, it's worth it.
He says that this whole thing has gone by extremely fast, and with his son, he wants to take it slow. And Zoe agrees and is like, we're both in a mindset of not rushing. And like, she's like, I got 2 years on my degree. We could do long distance. We could visit. At one point during this meeting, he's like, oh yeah, I've maybe just counted the miles to where she lives in Florida. No big deal. And then he like gets sort of embarrassed.
It's like very clear that if he's going to pick anyone, it's going to be Zoe.
Yeah, there's just much more seriousness to the way that he is
More
talking about their
seriousness, and also
relationship.
she seems just very open to moving at whatever pace because she's
Right.
not like dying to be in a like marriage.
Right. And he pulls her into his lap. They make out. And then we see Colton having a little direct-to-camera interview. And the producers are asking him, are you falling for Zoe? And he says, man, it doesn't feel like I fell for Zoe. It feels like I got pushed off a bridge.
Firing on all cylinders.
He's got lines. They should
He
have
really
him
does.
write like terrible contemporary rom-coms or something. Have him work with a ghostwriter to put out the first Farmer Wants a Wife rom-com novel tie-in.
We should do a Farmer Wants a Wife like Hallmark movie.
100. I mean, it would be about Colton.
It would be perfect.
Can just see the main character saying that to his best friend who like runs the diner in town.
Exactly.
So that brings us to the end of Farmer Colton's meeting of Zoe's family. Next, we are with Farmer Matt in California meeting Chelsea's family. And his parents seem very happy to meet Chelsea and learn that she is from small town Texas.
Well, they're like, thank God he's meeting a godly woman after we raised our children in this like godless country of California, like, this godless state.
Chelsea's mom, which I didn't hear anyone say her name, and it's spelled in a way that I've never seen before. Micaiah or Micaiah?
Oh, I was like, is it Micaiah?
Maybe.
Micaiah and Messina. And she's Chelsea. I'm like, this is so
I wasn't
interesting.
prepared for this because her name is so normal. Her
Except
mom,
it is spelled not
it's slightly, but it's
slightly different.
I have no questions about how to pronounce it.
That's true.
It's not a name that I'm familiar with. So it's her mom and her sister, Micaiah or Micaiah and Messina. And Chelsea says, my mom is a great judgment of character. She doesn't pass judgment. She is judgment of character. She embodies judgment. Which she does seem to. I'm a little bit like terrified of her mom, who is unassumingly vicious. She's like, my mom has 4 girls, so she's always standing on business. And I'm like, oh, she's got one of those moms who's like, my girls are like driving me to an early grave. Like, girls are such handfuls. Like, you can just tell that she's always hearing about how hard it is for her mom to have so many girls. Matt's parents say they have 9 grandchildren, and they're counting on a few more.
They are trying to fill just any woman's womb with Matt's babies, like so aggressively.
Literally, like they just met Chelsea and her parents, and they're like, haha, your daughter is going to bear our son's children probably.
At
soon."
least 3 of them.
Yeah, they're like, maybe we'll have 11 or 12. And Chelsea's like, oh, whoa, okay. Like, getting up there with the numbers. Like, I literally just met you. Like, calm down. Chelsea talks to, well, it doesn't stop there because she goes to talk to Matt's parents by herself. And
It's wild.
his mom kicks off this conversation with, "Are you ready to have children?" Like, "Oh,
And
was
she's
that
like,
something you're
"Oh."
thinking about? I hadn't picked up on that."
Chelsea's so taken aback. She's like, "Oh, wow, you're really getting in there." And by there, I mean into my uterus.
Into my
She doesn't
uterus.
say that, but it's how I felt.
It feels very archaic. Like literally they're like, "This may be our husband's bride. Shall we examine
The
her
goods.
genitalia?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the goods. But she's like, "Yeah, I am ready. I'm settled in my career. I can do it anywhere, and I'm ready to like get to that next phase of my life." And Matt's dad asked what she was missing in past relationships to end up here. Like basically, why are you still single, you old hag?
Like, you're 30.
No one's saying this to Matt.
Well, to be
She's-
fair, his mom did express a lot of anxiety. that
That's
her
true.
son
She's
was-
like, he needs to start having
Yeah.
kids. But whenever people ask women why they're still like single and like, "Oh, you still need to find a man," why? Like, it just raises all my hackles.
Oh, I know. Same.
She says in her early 20s, she was more career driven and dating around, but now she and Matt are both ready to look for a soulmate and a partner. And they seem mollified like by this. Like maybe there isn't anything wrong with her. Thank God. And his mom just really loves that Chelsea's personality and goals are perfect for Matt. They're both kind of reserved and easygoing. And they both want to start a family. Start having those
All that
grandkids
matters.
for them. They're like, 9 grandkids isn't enough. We had 4 kids for what? To have only 9 grandkids?
Barely over the replacement.
It's actually
rate.
kind of a lot when only 3 of their kids have had kids.
I
so
know.
far. That's 3 apiece. That's healthy. It's a healthy amount. Matt talks to Chelsea's mom and sister, who ask about the beautiful tree that they're passing, and Matt doesn't know what it is. A beautiful tree on his own property. Some farmer we've
Well,
got.
he's
here.
like, does that tree grow finger limes?
If not, I-
I don't know about it.
Could not care less. We see her mom telling the camera that Chelsea hasn't succeeded in other relationships because she hasn't found someone that understands her, someone who can be patient with her. We all hope, she says, that Matt's strengths will help her weaknesses.
Jesus.
I was aghast. She's so unassuming that I sort of thought this was going to be a normal statement that's just like she hasn't found the right person yet. And then it suddenly turns so judgmental.
Like, she really needs a man to step in and deal with her flaws.
I'm like, why does she need a man to be patient? She seems like lovely.
She seems so lovely and like easygoing and fun to be around.
And like, we hope his strengths will help her weaknesses.
It's like a mean way of saying that they complement each other.
I hope that they will complement each other would be a nicer way of saying that. It was incredible shade from Chelsea's mom. Her mom asks what about Chelsea attracted Matt. And he says that he always kind of liked her, but they were both reserved at first. Her sister asks if he wants to move toward marriage, and he says yes, he wants a family. Her mom asks if it would bother him that Chelsea is very private and guarded, and he's like, "No, I love that about her. I don't want to push her too far out of her comfort zone." And her mom is like, "Sometimes it's good to be pushed." And I'm like, oh, Chelsea's mom thinks that she is too closed off, and that's why she hasn't married her off yet, and it pisses her off.
And Matt's
She's like,
"Yes,
have you
yes,
noticed?
Sure.
Have you noticed that she's just like way too quiet, and like maybe you could like.
And Matt's like,
change
"Unfortunately,
that."
I am that way as well." So
It's like, I love that actually. After this, Chelsea's mom and sister have only good things to say about Matt and his sort of intentional, slow approach to getting to know her. They're big fans. And Matt's parents also like Chelsea because she's ready to have kids. And he jokes that she might just be too smart for him, which is the theme on this season. And he tells them that he didn't really think he'd like anyone, but he does. And this was a fascinating moment because his mom goes, "Oh, you do?" Sounding really surprised after she just met 2 women that he was presenting to them as like, "I might marry this woman." He's like, "I didn't think I'd like anyone, but I do." And she wasn't like, "Oh, you didn't think you would like anyone?" She's like, "Oh, you actually like someone?"
right.
She was really surprised by that. After this, Matt and Chelsea have a date of sitting on the back of a pickup truck, and he brushes an eyelash off her cheek while they laugh about how they have all been pushed out of their comfort zone today. And he tells her that her mom asked when he'd be ready to find his wife, and he said it was about finding the right person, and he gazes meaningfully at her. And Chelsea says, "You might have that chance." And Matt is like, "Wow, I really like that girl. But Jordan is also really hot, and I could see myself with her." That was not a direct quote.
I feel like
that
at
was
this
just sort of
point-
how I read what he said.
Well, I feel like Matt is like, okay, it's my job to not fully reveal who I'm picking yet. Like,
Yeah.
it's so clear that he made a choice that it was going to be Chelsea. Like, he only kissed her.
Right.
He had made the choice, but he's like, this is my job to
Right.
not give it away. Jordan, really great person.
Like, he's like, we hit it
And
off from
hot.
the beginning, and I could see myself married to her.
I
Okay.
don't, but I could.
I don't, but I could. So this brings us to Farmer Jay. He is meeting Karina's family. He loves her confidence and the joy that she has within herself. Karina is feeling oddly optimistic, as she says, and tells the camera that her mom can talk to anyone, and her dad will actually ask the tough questions. BFF mommy and disciplined daddy strike again. Once you bring a daddy in, like, he's going to ask the tough questions, and the mom is going to
Exactly.
be
You
like
think
the
it's all fun
bestie.
and games until there's a dad.
Don't worry. Karina's dad, Sean, might be there, but so is her sister. Karina has 3 older sisters, just like, Chelsea is one of 4 sisters. She's
Yeah.
the second, I think. So Karina and Chelsea are both one of 4 sisters. Her mom's name is Mindy, and she says that Karina is looking for someone with a good work ethic like her dad. Her dad looks like if the man in the American Gothic painting grew a gray beard.
It is true.
It is.
Was it Karina's dad who she looks at him and she's like, "Are you eating?"
Yes. He's like, "You're working too hard. You're not eating enough. We got to put some meat on those bones." He truly is like kind of like the gaunt farmer
Yeah.
in the plaid shirt. But this is, I mean, they're both kind of like farming, hard-working families. They hit it off
Yeah,
immediately.
They get along.
We learned that Jay's sister is recently married and expecting her first child, which I
She's
don't
really
think
cute.
came up during Grace's meeting.
No.
Jay talks to Karina's parents, and she's like, "I really trust them to ask the right questions and help me out here because I have 3 older sisters, and they've really handled that. They've really gotten them sorted." Mindy asks kind of the basic standard questions, but in this tone, like, she feels really self-conscious about her role as the on-camera interrogator. Like, she keeps being like, "So what do you like about Karina? Where do you see yourself in 3 years?" Like, now I'm saying it, the question that you ask. And Jay's ready. He's like, "I like that Karina's an athlete. She has farm experience. She loves the outdoors. She really checks all the boxes." And he wants to be married in 2 years. He wants a big family. And Sean is like, "Well, you got to capitalize on that time before you have kids because they'll take your time away." That's a fact. He's like, "Let's talk about your ability to make money." Ominous music.
Jay actually seems fine though.
Jay is like, "Listen, I was born to grind. I won't even go on vacation because it's very important for me to
He
work
literally
every single
broke
day of my
up with
life on my
a
farm."
woman who wanted to take a trip sometimes.
Yeah, no, he's always thinking about hustling at farming, and he's like, "Look, I've had a go-getter mentality from a young age. I was a successful athlete. Like, I'm goal-oriented. Okay, I'm gonna get the job done." And Sean is like, "Yes, hell, this is me. This is a
Hell
young
yeah.
me."
They're sold. They're sold on Jay. They're like, Jay checks the boxes. He seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. This is great. We also see Karina chat with Jay's parents, John and LaTanya. They're so cute. I really
know.
like his mom.
And LaTanya shares that she was a city girl like Kimberly Williams-Paisley. And she picked up her life to move to the country and be with John. And it was tough for her, but she made it work. And they have, had 23 wonderful years of marriage. And Karina admits that it does seem tough. She's like, "I don't want to move somewhere without a support system." She says that she doesn't have the personality, quote, "to go join the library or fitness classes and make friends that way."
She's basically like, I can't really make friends, but I hope your family will be my friends.
Well, I was like, there's fair. Like, she's like, please, you have to be my friends.
Yeah.
My family are the people I'm closest with. We have Sunday dinners. I want that with you. And they're like, totally, you're in if you're in. Like, we're close. We have Sunday dinners. You'll be part of our thing. Does she know what a library is? She seems to think that it's a club that you join.
Yeah, you join the library and then you have friends.
I'm also getting the sense that this is not a big, like, go to Pilates and meet a group of, like, other fit 24-year-olds sort
I know.
of
I was like,
town.
where does one meet people in that? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think
I've
the
not been to
reality is
Florence.
that she would...
Have to put in effort.
She'd have to put an effort, but I also think, like, she went to that, like, football practice with Jay and, like, seemed
True.
perfectly comfortable. I'm like, I bet that you would, like, go to the football games and you'd meet the other parents and, like, the teachers, and you would just, like, become part of the community. Like, you don't have to join the library.
Right.
Who joins a library? That's not what a library is. Are you thinking of a book club? I'm really stuck on this. I'm always like, yeah, when I move to a new town, I make new friends by joining the library. Yeah, so she's a little nervous about it, which surprised me, actually, because she seems so much more comfortable with
I know.
that sort of thing than Grace. But I guess he ended up with two women who are like, I actually don't want to be outgoing, which I get. But
I mean, he's really not outgoing, so.
yeah, there's an affinity there. But he has a farm, so that means that he gets to bring people to him. Like, if she had a family farm, then she could recruit someone to come join her family Sunday dinners. But after this, everyone seems happy. Her family tells her that Jay is great. Mindy is like, he seems maybe too great. Her sister is worried that she'll get hurt if she's not chosen, but they're like, there's no shame in not being picked. They don't seem to feel confident that it's going to be Karina after all this.
It's so funny because I was really like, maybe Karina is the better fit.
I thought he was going to pick Karina at this
So
point.
did I.
Yeah.
I was, spoiler alert, we were wrong.
Because their chemistry had, like, really picked up. And, like, he talks a lot about a lot of distinct things that he likes about Karina. Not just box checking things, but, like, their chemistry, how much fun they have together. And when he
Right.
talks about Grace, he's like,
she
I love her.
is a woman of faith.
Right. It's like, what I love about Karina is our chemistry and how similar we are and just what a wonderful time we have together. And what I love about Grace is that she's a godly woman. Okay. Do you like her,
I really honestly thought, and
Yeah.
like things went pretty well with the family. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's going to pick her.
And his family has the same concerns about both of them, which is it seems like it would be hard for them to move here because they are used to having a strong support system and they aren't sure how they would do in a new
Right.
setting. So they bring that up with Karina. They're like, she says she struggles to make new friends. It might be hard, but she seems wonderful. Karina and Jay have a final date of sitting on a bench, and she asks if he has any final questions for her. And he's like, would you be ready to move down here? And she says, yes, there are lots of similarities between our families. That helps me feel comfortable taking that leap. I want to be your support system, your best friend, your wife, all of that. Whoa. Karina, you still barely know this man.
Yeah. I was like, I don't really believe you, Karina.
Slow down. I mean, I respect that she's really throwing herself into the process, but I was like, I feel like you might want to take a beat before you decide to commit yourself to being a man's support system and wife.
Best friend.
Best
all
friend.
of that.
It's a lot. He tells the camera that his feelings for her are very strong, and when he looks at Karina, he sees a wife. But he sees that with Grace as well. What's he gonna do? On that note, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about Decision Day and all of the drama that ensues.
Can you keep up? I like love it.
And we are back. And it's time for the finale, which means it's time to see Kimberly Williams-Paisley in another outfit.
This is the reveal we were all waiting for. What is she going to wear for the finale?
I'm going to say the penultimate episode, the outfit is more deranged.
Yeah.
But the hair and makeup are similarly bad in the finale. She like welcomes us all to the finale and she's just in a random field, of course, wearing like a very structural puff sleeve, floral, but like black floral, floor-length dress. It has this like black lace insert around the neckline.
Yeah.
And then she's paired it with a bright red lip that seems like the wrong red for her skin tone.
You were
and
like
an
really in
oddly
on the
messy
makeup.
hair. I was upset. I was just like, you have a makeup artist. Like,
Yeah. I was kind of into this look. I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit witchy. It was like trad
It was.
witch like
no, I didn't
formal
actually hate the dress.
dance
The one
attire.
before was so much more deranged. I was more annoyed by the styling of it. I was like, this
Yeah.
dress is like cute, but
Well, and
why?
The styling also does feel very evening. You know, you're wearing a long black dress in the middle of
yeah.
the day, and you're kind of playing with the updo and the red lip. You're kind of
But
leaning
it's
into
really.
that.
But then they're like, it's daytime. It's a farm, so it's just messy.
Yeah.
It
don't
wasn't
know.
working. It
Next
wasn't working for me.
next season, we're gonna have a whole episode every week just on Kimberly Williams-Paisley's
Yeah, no, I
outfits
like
and
I
styling.
really think we could write a book about what they are trying to convey with the hair, makeup, and
the
and
semiotics of Kimberly
styles.
Williams-Paisley's styling. She reminds us that it's finally time for the farmers to tell that special lady how they feel. Some women will be getting an exciting new job soon.
Farm wife.
Farm
Yay!
wife.
Oh my God, it's time. The hiring managers have really spent a lot of time going over all of these women's edit tests, and
Yeah.
they've decided who's the right fit
Yeah.
for the farm.
It's one of those rare jobs where you do a bunch of interviewing and edit tests or, whatever,
Whatever.
what have
skill-
you.
I don't know. I'm just
Skill tests. And then you get the job and then you don't actually do the job for years, if ever. Like when one of these women actually moves to a farm to be a farm wife, I want to get a press release about it.
same. I don't. It's certainly not happened yet.
Farmer Jay
Up
is first.
and that's how I was like, Farmer Jay's probably not with his lady.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they go
He's
to him
not.
first,
Spoiler.
and they also do the thing where they're like really trying to draw out. They're making all of the drama out of who he picks, right? Like, which indicates
Right.
that not a lot really happened in these final choices. So they're splicing together the final conversations right up until the end.
No, that's so true. Whenever something more interesting happens in the conversations, they just show them consecutively.
Right. Instead, they're like, gotta keep you wondering.
Yeah.
But Jay is feeling good. He's like, behind every great man is a great woman. Which great woman will I choose? I have chemistry with Karina, but Grace likes God. So it's going to be a toss up here. But his
Yeah.
granddaddy is smiling down on him. He's doing right by the family legacy. He is ready to stand by a body of water somewhere where production has set up some like half-hearted white flower arches. It truly looks like they ran to the bodega
Yeah.
and just started like throwing whatever white flowers.
I will say, I think they're creeping more Bachelor in these because
It's-
sometimes in the past, the finale has just been like on the lawn. Like they walk
Yeah.
over to them on the lawn or whatever. And this
No, it's
feels
just-
more like a Bachelor. They're like, we got to get some water in the background or like a vista.
It's like low budget Bachelor
Yeah.
because
Well, they
they're like
have
we're
to do
building
4
up
of
to
them.
that. Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love it. I love a random like rug or a platform with some like
100%.
barrels somewhere, and that's all of
Yeah.
these. And it's also funny because as we know, there's like a fully different crew for each farmer, so it's not like quite consistent styling.
Yeah, that's so true. They get what they get. So Karina comes up wearing a strapless teal silk dress, which happens to match Jay's shirt.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's picking her. The styling is telling me.
Well, that is not the kind of sign from God he was looking for, as we will
No.
learn. Grace is wearing a mini dress that's like floral, long-sleeved, ruched dress. And Jay tells Karina that he picked two women with the most beautiful souls. All the other women from this season are watching,
Bad
like
souls.
booing at the screen. Like, oh, I've got a bad soul. My soul is uglier than hers. He says that she caught him by surprise because they have so much in common. She comes from a big family. She's a former athlete.
It's about
farm
it.
experience, all
That's
that
all.
stuff. I mean, they do have a lot more in common than him and Grace.
That
but
is true.
Karina says that seeing Jay line dancing was when she knew they could be more than just friends. And as we recall, after that is when they had their first kiss and things really took off for them.
And Jay's like, Karina, your smile just makes me want to smile. And also, you're a great farm worker. He's like,
Yeah.
you work on the farm. Everything about that lines up to what I want.
Imagine doing all of these like interviews to get this job. And at the end, he's like, well, you do the work so much better than the other person. And we have, everything else that you could want in an employee you have. But I'm just going to pick this other person because she loves God.
Yeah. He's like, I really have feelings for both of you. But after praying about it, I really just have to go with my gut and also my heart. And I have a stronger connection with Grace.
Fair enough.
And Karina seems like disappointed, but she takes it on the chin. She's like, I think we had a real connection. It was slower burning than your connection with Grace, but it was real. But I'm really happy you thought with both your head and your heart. She says, like, God has a plan. And when she walks away, she says to the camera, I think I tend to foolishly love, and I think I may have started to do that here.
Yeah.
But she seems mostly fine.
Jay, his conversation with Grace is, of course, intercut, but we've just separated it out here for
For
convenience.
clarity. It's too
For
confusing.
clarity. A little clarity from Claire here. Now it's time to talk about Grace. He's like, I felt a spark with you immediately during speed dating. Of course, she got the first solo date. And he brings up, of course, how deep she is in her faith and how
It's the
seriously she
only
takes it.
thing that he says about her.
Well, I thought this was interesting. He says, you can tell by the way that you walk and talk that you're just like a godly woman. And I was like, I wonder if part of what's happening here is that her reserve and her quietness and her sort of unassumingness and the way that she kind of disappears a little bit into the background, if he really reads that as virtue and humility and like women shouldn't take up too much space, women shouldn't be too bold, the fact that she takes up so little space and makes herself kind of smaller and is so quiet is a sign of her like Christian virtue.
You know what? That's such a good point. I do think that might be it, because he seems to be like reading a lot of meaning into that isn't quite there in his relationship with Grace.
Yeah. And also, like, Karina loves God. So I'm like,
Right.
she brings up God when she gets sent home. So I'm like, I feel like there's something that he feels that Grace embodies what a godly woman should be in a way that is based on her personality just being in a totally fine way, just much quieter and smaller and more reserved.
Yeah, I think you're right. Grace tells Jay, like, I think you have a lot of the qualities I've been praying for. I've never felt this way. But Jay is still concerned. He's like, Grace, I'm nervous. You've never lived far from your family. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but Washington State is far away from Alabama. I really felt like he was like the dad in Sleepless in Seattle. And he's like telling the child, like, do you see? Look at all the states in between Seattle and Maryland.
Well,
Like,
to be fair to him, his family was like, I would just caution you to consider that Grace is going to have a hard time moving here. And also I would caution you to consider that Karina's going to have a hard time moving here. And he's like, well, I'm picking one of them. So I guess I'll just
say it to both of them.
Remind her when I'm picking her that she does live really far away from me. Like, has she
incredible
considered
stuff.
that?
But then he gets to the real romance of the speech. And he's like, Grace, our birthdays are both in April. And our dads are both named John. So I think you can see that, quote, everything just kind of adds up to where only something like this could happen by God, really. I was like, you think this is ordained by God and the best you have is that both our dads are named John?
Between this and Love is Blind, I'm concerned that a lot of people actually do think this way. Like,
do you think John is an uncommon name? Like, one of the other farmers on this very show is literally named John.
I'm pretty sure it's like the most common name. It is the example
Yeah.
name, the generic name.
John Smith.
John Smith or John Doe. Last
Yeah.
names might vary, but we always go back to John. It is the standard generic, like, Anglo
American
man's
name.
name. Yeah. And the fact that your dads are both named John is actually, like, I think I've mentioned this before. Greg and I, our brothers have the same name. Our dads have the same name flipped, like Stephen Michael, Michael Stephen. And, like, it's kind of, like, funny and cute, but we're not like, wow, that's so meaningful.
Well,
it's
Claire,
like those names are pretty common
That's
names.
why I'm in a throuple with you and Greg, because all our moms are named Nancy.
All our moms are named Nancy.
And I think we all know what that means. God. God's
It means
hand.
God. It means that God got involved back when the baby boomers were all being named and was like, I got to start naming baby girls Nancy so that people know that they have to be together in the future.
Exactly. This is just so unhinged. I was like, oh, Jay's doomed.
No, these people, like, so many people on these shows are getting engaged or into serious relationships because their parents happen to have the same name. And I really want to know where they're getting this
I
idea.
know. We need to have some serious conversations with the youth of America. So Jay continues. He's like, there are just so many signs that tell me that you're my person. What are the signs? That their
John.
Their dads are named John. He's like, the stars have aligned. I want to continue building our relationship. And she's like, yes. And as a surprise, Jay gets her a puppy. I'm like, where is that puppy now? Because it's very clear these two aren't together.
Puppy.
I guess it's a puppy for the farm, but it's like Grace. I don't know. But
Or
there
is it
is
her
a puppy.
Does that
Who
puppy live in
knows?
Washington now?
Who knows? I've seen no more evidence of this puppy on social media. I'm concerned. Jay then makes a really bold claim and tells the cameras that he thinks Grace is the love of his life.
Well, her dad
She's
is named
not.
John. What else is he supposed to think? Is it possible that Jay's never had a serious relationship before?
Yes.
Does he just not know what's happening?
I don't know, because wasn't he concerned that someone else wasn't in a
That's
hadn't had a
right.
relationship
That's true.
before?
I don't know. Or maybe he's just like hamming it up for the cameras a little bit.
I don't know.
You can't tell me that after like one date and then finding out that your dads are both named John and also you think she acts like a godly woman, that all adds up to her being the love of your life without question. I don't know.
So time to move on to Farmer Colton. And this was, first of all, I was already reeling. I was already reeling from the John of it all, from the like stars align, from the fact that I thought Jay was going to pick Karina. I was like, I'm processing. I love this because like with Bachelor, I think we know the signs so well now of who someone's going to pick. And often someone will like come in our comments and spoil it for us. This was pure for me. I was like, I don't know who they're going to pick. I'm going to get half of it wrong. It's so fun.
You know what else is interesting about this is that The Bachelor, very wisely for them, will make a huge deal in the run up to a twist at the end that gets you sort of speculating about what's going to happen. Like there would be teasers very creatively cut of what happens with Colton at the finale that would be like the most dramatic rose ceremony finale ever. And
Farmer Wants a Wife is so low key in so many ways that they're just like, oop.
Yeah,
some pretty crazy shit's just gonna happen.
I felt like I was just walking down the street and someone came up and smacked me in the face. Like that's how surprised I was by this.
I love
because
it.
I'm so accustomed to something like this having such a run up. Like half the season I'm watching the trailers and being like, what could this be about? Like if you piece together the little snippets they've shown us and like the hints that we've gotten, like what actually goes down, was not prepared for anything exciting at all to happen.
But here we are. We're on Farmer Colton's farm. They're obviously in a field because that's the vibe of Colton's farm. And Colton tells us that he's just looking for his best friend, but he has realized that he really needs to think about his son, Souther. And he's clearly agreed that Souther is not going to be on camera because this is the most that we see Souther. We get a glimpse of Souther's back. He's driving a really tiny tractor and wearing a tiny cowboy hat and like driving the tractor through his dad's legs. It's
so
cute.
funny. And it does
hilarious.
sort of almost give the impression that it's like this is a stunt double.
Yeah,
like,
it does. It's like it's a doll. That is
a
an
doll.
animatronic child.
Well, it made me think back to his first date with Bailey and how he showed her the tiny photo album of Souther. And I'm like, oh, did they put all of his pictures of Souther into this tiny album so that it wouldn't end up showing a picture on camera?
I assume that there was like just an element here of him and his ex deciding that
not to put his face on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like the tiny album was so funny, but I'm like, that's probably what it goes back to.
But I did enjoy the tiny tractor and the tiny cowboy hat.
The tiny book, the tiny tractor, the tiny cowboy hat. So his final choice site, he's waiting there with some pedestal flowers placed around him. So
and like
romantic.
to the side, there's just like a rug.
Sure. I love to think of production just rolling up and like screeching to a halt, hopping out of the van and just throwing Persian rugs
like,
out.
There's like, there's a pedestal. There's a vase. Okay, yeah, see, good enough.
Keely feels like Colton has taught her that she deserves to be treated well. She really has strong feelings for him and sees a future with him. She's ready to settle down. She's in a floral mini dress with puff sleeves. We see that's a little intercut, but we mostly see her first. So it becomes even more apparent, though we kind of guessed, that Zoe is the choice, not Keely. And then I was like, or maybe there's no choice. Oh, no, it's Zoe. So he says that the first thing he noticed was her red hair, as we know.
Yeah, again, there are only 3 types of women. Keely is one of them.
He's literally like, I saw a shiny object. It was different than the other ones. And so obviously I noticed that the most. And she's like, you made me feel really appreciated and beautiful. He says he worries he wouldn't be able to give her what she deserves. He has a son, and he has a lot of things he has to take care of with Souther. He points out or brings up that Souther has noticed that he's been gone a lot.
Oh.
And Colton went to pick him up the other night, and Souther told him to go back to work. And
Devastating.
That broke his heart. Oof. He feels like he doesn't really have the time to be in a relationship, and he's not ready to, quote, move her into his house or move her to Mina. Like he is the one who would be sort of picking her up and moving her around. I was like, I feel like she would be moving there in a sort of.
He's
she
just
would
like,
have
I don't
agency.
wish you to move here. That's what he's
right.
trying
It's
to
just
say.
the phrasing is extremely like he would be in control, like he's her boss. Like, I'm moving you to Mina, okay? It's time. Keely initially seems to take this really well.
Like so well, because she, quite understandably, given what Colton has said, assumes that this just means that Colton isn't picking anyone. And if you've watched previous seasons of this show, we've seen single dads ultimately choose no one.
Right. And
like
he's
it is
being
more
very
common.
like, I have to focus on my son. I'm not ready.
I don't have
to
time
do
for a
this.
relationship.
And so I just don't think this is the best thing for you. Like, I have to let you go. And she's like, of course, like that's the nicest way to break up with someone. It's putting him first. He should go first. And it does make me feel better knowing that you didn't just say that to me and then go pick her.
And then Colton's like, oh, fuck.
Oh my God. This was crazy. There's an awkward pause.
He's
and
like,
he goes, here's the thing. And I was like, oh my God, he's choosing Zoe.
Yeah, you're like, this is so bad. And Keely's like, you can see. She's like, what the fuck bullshit is he about to tell me? And he's like, so here's the thing. If I was going to try to make it work with someone, it would be Zoe. I don't feel rushed by her. She doesn't really want to move here. And also just the way we connect is different. And there's just something about her. He like keeps talking. He's like, there's just something about her. I can't stop thinking about her. I really would like to explore some options with Zoe if she's open to that. Like, Colton, stop talking.
It keeps getting worse. Like, because at first he's like, I almost was like, why are you saying if I was going to try to make it work with someone, it would be Zoe? As if to say, I'm picking neither of you, but just to be clear, I'm not picking you more.
Yeah.
And then he goes on like, I am picking Zoe if I can because of these logistical reasons, and also I just like her more.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, you could have just stopped with the logistics if you were going to say it. And then he's like, but also, you know, I don't think about you.
like, Jesus
I do
Christ,
think about
my
Zoe.
guy. Like,
my favorite part of this, though, is that Keely is obviously very pissed, and Colton does not notice. It's like the same thing that happened with Bailey earlier, where he's just like 0% picking up what she's putting down. Keely's like, I wish you the best of luck with that. And it's cold. And Colton's like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah,
So nice
thank
of
you so
for wishing me the
much.
best.
She's like, and she's like, Zoe is, you know, wonderful. You know, wish you guys the best. She's great. And he's like, oh yes, absolutely. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you came. We had the best time. She's like, yeah, it was a lot of fun. He's like, right, it was so wonderful, and I just am really rooting for you going forward. And midway through, she turns around and is like, I'll see you when I see you. And
Like
just
he's trying to
walks
like give her a hug, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll see you when I see you."
And this
Only
is
then
when
does he notice that she's pissed.
This was hell. So what Colton clearly did was he was like, I'm going to get out of this relationship using an excuse that makes it sound like I'm not rejecting her. But then, of course,
You have to still reject her.
you have to still reject her. And it becomes clear that you are kind of bullshitting her. And that makes it so much worse.
Right.
Like, you could have
he
said-
easily said, like, there's still things I'm working through with my son, and like given what like you need from a relationship, I don't think I can give you what you need. And I just think that like Zoe and I are more on the same page.
Yeah. But then she almost like shames it out of him inadvertently, because he is making it sound like he can't be in a relationship right now.
Right, because he literally said he doesn't have time for one. But what he meant is like, I don't have time for one full time, and also just like, I don't want to be with you.
Well, and it also kind of seems like halfway through telling her that Zoe is just logistically like matches better with him, he's like, but I don't want it to seem like I'm not really into Zoe. So he's like, also I like her better.
He's just like flailing. He is flailing. Keely talks to the cameras afterwards, and she's like, well, that kind of sucks. Or that kind of sucked. And she says she thinks she's going to maybe throw up. I get it, Keely. And she says, look, I'd rather him just kind of tell me straight up, I'm picking her. She's like, that was annoying.
That sucked.
And that was annoying. That was annoying, Keely.
I have never seen anything like that. I have never seen a lead inadvertently,
Shitting the bucket.
give the impression that he is picking neither of them, only for the person he's actually dumping to kind of call him out, and corner him into admitting that he is picking the other person. Oh, it's just like, it's so awkward. So after that, Colton does seem to realize that he fucked up. And we hear him like talking to his producers and being like, I feel like I did not say anything I was supposed to say. I just froze up and went completely blank.
Yeah, you did. You fucked up, Colton.
It's possible that he and the producers had planned out a very like elegant, measured way of, as we said, being like, our life goals don't match up right now. I'm going to need something different from what you're looking for. And so I think that the best thing for us is to part ways. And instead he was just like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I can't, I just have to choose myself, and I have to choose my son.
Oh
and
my
Zoe,
God, I love it.
I'm
It's
also
so
choosing
good.
Zoe, by the way.
I'm sorry. This is just, it was so great. I was like, this is fucking crazy.
My jaw was on the floor. I could not
Same.
believe this.
So then we move along to Zoe. We see her in the car. She's like, I'm falling in love with Colton. I can just see us like cooking together and enjoying every day with each other. She shows up to the final decision site in a very like how to lose a guy in 10 days coded butter yellow silk dress.
It's back. I feel like the How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days like dress
I mean,
has
it
been
makes
having.
sense.
I've
Yeah.
been seeing it floating up more.
Well,
as
butter
a style
yellow is like
reference.
one of the big colors of the summer.
So I hear it's not going to work for me, so I'm pretending that's not real. Colton says that he appreciates that Zoe is willing to be out of her element. And as we know, he thinks she is also a genius.
But his one concern is just, of course, the long distance. She has 2 years left in her program. And he's like, I wouldn't feel right like asking you to uproot your life. It's also very clear that Zoe is not going to uproot her life.
It's like he's like throwing out things that this is part of what's confusing, is that he keeps bringing up the long distance and maybe that would be hard, but I don't want to ask her to uproot her life. And then in the end, he's like, psych, actually being long distance is the best. And that's why I'm choosing
and
you.
she's like,
actually.
honestly, yes, it does rule.
Yeah, it does
Great.
rule. So when she comes up, he like compliments her beauty. He's like, you're the sweetest girl I've ever met. Your mind is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen in the entire world. even as beautiful perhaps as John Nash's mind, and she's prettier than any girl he's ever met. He points out that her fingernails aren't done, and they never are, but he loves that about her. He says,
like, you're just so natural.
You're just
because
naturally beauty, he says.
I was dying. I was like, she doesn't paint her nails, but like,
she is this. I was like, Colton, this woman is wearing 7 pounds of makeup, and her hair is bleached platinum. Like,
yeah,
factually,
she's not trying to hide it.
No, she's not wearing a natural makeup look. She is wearing like bright
makeup
colored, glossy
look.
lipstick, full black eyeliner, and again, platinum blonde hair.
With
You can see
visible roots.
like, it's quite obvious that her beauty involves a lot of effort, which is completely
Great. It's great.
fine.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a man tell a woman with that much like obvious makeup on that he loves her natural beauty in the way that
funny.
she doesn't
He's
even
like,
really try.
Your fingernails.
Does
like,
he think her lips look like that without doing anything? She came out with
I
like
am
shiny,
obsessed
bright
if he
pink
does
lips.
Believe that. But he's just, he's just saying things. He's just into her.
Yeah.
He's like, Zoe says, Colton, you light up a room. And Colton ultimately does bring up his son, but in a more sensical way this time. He's like, Souther requires a lot of my time and attention, but if I'm going to give it a go with anyone, there's no one I'd rather do it with than you if you're open to trying long distance. And she's like, hell yeah, let's do it. This is great.
They kiss. It's golden hour. A beautiful
pretty.
sunset. She jumps into his arms. And best of luck to them. I think they are not together based on social media.
I'm going to assume definitely not. Moving right on to Farmer John.
I will never recover from that. I'm sorry.
Colton. I know.
Oh my
it's
God.
great. It's amazing.
He's like, well, if I were going to make it work with someone, it wouldn't be
If I
you.
were going to enter a low effort relationship with anyone, it would be you.
Oh my God. So, okay, Farmer John. Farmer John is like, it seems like he's at one of his family properties.
Yeah.
Right? Like
so
they're
they
like in a
barely
courtyard
even
almost.
set dress. It's like in front of like a barn door.
This feels more like this is definitely less of a standard Bachelor style backdrop. But
This
we
is
have
just, like,
seen
on his
some,
property.
like Chris Soules did his.
This
in a
actually
barn.
reminded me more of like the proposal site in the first season of The Ultimatum, where it's just like in a room.
I
in
love
a
that we
barn.
have so many reference points for shows where at the end someone
just
chooses
stand
which
in a
person they're
field.
going to be with.
And and there's always like a pedestal and like maybe a rug and like a couple flowers.
But
yeah,
sometimes
there's
it's
so
a
many
barn
versions.
or a courtyard or
Or
outside
just like
of a mansion.
on The Ultimatum, sometimes they do just like stand on a mountain side, like on like it's pulled to the side of the road, and they're like, "Here's a beautiful vista."
They do it wherever they can.
Yeah, and
They're
that's
scrappy.
like sort of that like Farmer Wants a Wife is somewhere in between The Ultimatum and The Bachelor.
So I liked this. I liked that it was different from the other ones. It felt more visually distinct. I feel like it's dark. Is it night already when they're doing this? Or maybe it was just the setting was more enclosed, I think was what I was picking up on.
Yeah, but it was daylight.
Yeah. So he is feeling the pressure, but he has a clear mind and an open heart. The process has taught him a lot about himself.
Like he's horny for discipline, but maybe it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only necessary in the bedroom and not with his children. Just kidding. I'm like really I'm sorry,
know.
John. I'm like
He's going to have to get a
projecting.
restraining order.
We're sorry, John. It's just
He says that with Lily, he feels romantic, like he's in a movie. They had similar upbringings and look at the world in a similar fashion. It's funny because actually his relationship with Claire seems more like a movie.
I agree. It's like he and Claire actually have the rom-com relationship.
But what I feel like he's describing that with Claire, he almost feels like he is playing a part or like watching himself.
With Lily, you mean?
Oh, yeah, with Lily.
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to say too. He's like, with Claire, I am myself.
Right.
With Lily, I'm like
playing a part. Even though Lily is much more similar to him. I wonder if part of that is that, like, even though he identifies very strongly with these things about his family and, like, the worldview that he espouses, that it when he is with someone who has the same worldview, he actually feels more hemmed in to that role. And with Claire, she is more open-minded to him being like that or maybe being a little different. And that's kind of, like, liberating.
Yeah, I think he likes that. I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah, like I wonder if on some level it's like save Farmer John from the patriarchy. Like
I
maybe he
know.
like deep down he's like I feel hemmed into this patriarch
Farmer
role.
John, are you going to become a liberal?
He's never encountered a well-adjusted liberal before.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he's
going to learn so he
he's-
must be learning so much.
he's having his mind blown wide open.
Yeah, imagine what he's going to learn in Chicago,
Oh
where
my
Claire
God.
lives.
Well, if he walks down the street and there aren't 15 shootings as he walks a single block, then he's probably going to have his mind blown.
Oh my God.
So Lily is first. This really, I at this point I still expected him to choose Lily. So
Same. I
surprised.
fully thought he was going to choose Lily. And so Lily arrives first, and I was like, wait,
Wait a second.
wait, what's going on?
This is, and again, as I referenced before, John to me is such a Sean Lowe. Like he is like, I kind of
You're so
abhor
right.
what I know of his politics, but I feel his charisma. And when he chooses the
He's
girl who's
funny.
against type, who's more similar to me, I feel like validated in some obscure way. Now
Yep.
that I'm older, I think I question wanting that validation more than I did when Sean
Yep.
Lowe was Bachelor.
Yep, 100%.
But I can feel it working on me. I'm like, oh, he thinks we're good enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, Claire, what are you talking about? Who
This man
cares?
just said he like needs a woman like who does all the dishes and like
Exactly.
stays at home.
He would let me do all the dishes.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. So Lily says that a future with John will be special and passionate. They have a really deep connection. She always feels like she can be herself with him. She is wearing a form-fitting red maxi dress with a diagonal hem. Are asymmetric hems like
Asymmetric.
again?
That's the word I was looking for in the doc, and I just was like diagonal.
it's been out of style for so long?
Yeah. No, I think they're back.
Ugh, I hate it. I hate it.
But the color is really beautiful on her.
Oh, she always looks.
Yeah, I mean she's gorgeous.
Yeah. And John.
And the minute John starts talking, that's where you can tell like this isn't the big romantic speech.
Well,
it's very
your
like,
proposal didn't start with this has been super fun.
It felt to me like the way that we can always tell on Love is Blind when they're giving a vow that's just like, what a great experience we have had together. That's sort of what John is doing. He's like, well, it's been super fun. There have been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of memories.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
we'll
some
have these
things about
memories
you.
forever.
Exactly. He's
Yeah.
like, we will take those memories separately. He's like, you're loving, confident, sure of yourself. I'm like, is that okay? A leader. I'm like, a leader, but great. I love that for Lily.
I
He's like,
love
"You're-
maybe he's starting to see other qualities in her now that he's starting to accept that women can have other qualities.
Yeah, and you know what? That is great. Lily does seem
Yeah.
delightful. He's like, your smile lights up a room. It's so obvious that your family adores you and you're like better at making friends than anyone I've ever seen. And then he says, I think you're going to make someone very, very happy. I think you're going to make a wonderful mother and spouse. I just don't think that's going to be with me. But I think you're a beautiful, wonderful person. I just don't want to prevent you from finding your true love.
Okay, coming after whatever Colton did,
I appreciated this.
I was like,
this is direct.
this is the formula for dumping someone, especially on a show like this. But it's a good formula and it works.
Because it's clear.
It's clear and it tells her
Respectful.
exactly what's going on while being respectful. It is framing
Yeah.
the breakup positively without framing it confusingly.
Exactly. He's very, he doesn't also give her like a ton of space to like compliment him too much. He's just like, we're going to get right into it. I think you're great. You have all of these wonderful qualities. We're not going to be together. And that is like actually the kinder thing to do in this situation.
100%. Instead of being like, I just don't know. I'm still in law school and that's going to be really tricky for me for a while. So we have to break up. I am still going to date Claire though. Like, no, he's very clear about what's going on here. He doesn't like her as much. Lily seems pretty taken aback. I'm sure that Lily, like us, was like, I am what he wants.
Yeah,
and Claire isn't.
Claire isn't. So I think it's going to be me.
But she takes it really, really well. She thanks him. She's like, Claire is a really special girl.
I think they're quite good friends.
It seems like
Yeah.
everyone got along extremely well.
Yeah.
in
John
his
gave an
house.
interview that I listened to, and he was like, there was literally no drama between any of the women in my house, and they were just all like best friends.
Like, even we saw the aftermath of Juliana arriving, they were all just like, yeah, we all understand each other. Like, it makes sense why we all feel the way we feel, and it's no one's fault. And that was like the next morning.
And I remember us talking about this with Samantha too, where we were like, in another show, she would be villainous, quote unquote, with the other women, but like all of her sharp edges were just directed at John.
Right. Like, they were all buddy. Yeah, and I thought this was really mature in a moment when she was clearly very disappointed to be able to be like, Claire is wonderful and you're going to be great together. And afterwards, she starts crying and she tells the camera that that was a lot harder than she thought it would be and that she's shocked by his decision, but she'll be okay.
So upon watching this a second time, I noticed that everything was said directly to the camera except for I'm shocked by his decision. And I was like, did she say this about a solo
something
date?
else.
About a solo date. And like,
Yeah.
because John had indicated that he was having a lot of off-camera conversation. He was like hanging out with all the women in his
Yeah.
house a lot. And part of me was like, did she sort of know? And was she surprised that it was still hard to be
That
rejected?
does
like,
make sense why she would say that was harder than she thought it would be. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she wasn't surprised by the
yeah,
decision.
because when I first watched it, I didn't clock that. And I was like, yes, like Lily, I'm very shocked. And then I watched it
Yeah.
again and was like, maybe she actually wasn't shocked and they edited that.
The fact that they
in.
got lots of time off camera is interesting and I think goes a long way toward explaining how
all the dynamics of his farm.
right, because he kept sending home women after solo dates, but the women who stayed seemed to mostly feel really confident that they had had enough connection to move forward.
Yeah. So I listened to this podcast, Kristen Cavallari's podcast, that one of our listeners emailed to us. So thank you for sending that over, Harriet, because it was really interesting. And it's John and Matt. And John says that his like handlers, his crew was just super loose and that they were all hanging out all the time. Whereas like Matt basically got no time that we didn't see with the women in his house. So yeah, that does like explain that. I think that also explains like why he would feel confident enough to choose Claire.
Right. And why all the women at Matt's house were like, he is a stranger to us.
Right.
Does he even like us? Does he want to be around us? So John says that it hurts seeing Lily upset, but he's here to find the love of his life. Claire surprised him, but she's the one, and he's ready to let her know. She's the love of his life, and he knows that because they've been hanging out for a few weeks, and even though they're completely different people, it somehow works perfectly for them to hang out at his farm, and that hasn't caused any issues. Claire says that her friendship with John has turned into romantic feelings, and she hopes that he's her person, but he's been hard to read.
I
Claire
loved
looks
her
great.
outfit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, stunning. She's in like full chocolate brown, gorgeous color. Just like a solid midi dress with these kind of bold side slits.
And it's sort of like
slightly off the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's really
she
pretty.
looks
It's
great.
really pretty. And she's also paired it with like these little strappy kitten heels that looked both fashionable and comfortable. I was like, where are those from?
Yeah, Emma was like fully
Yeah.
shopping on her second screen. She's like, those look fashionable and comfortable.
Yeah,
Where can I-"
Google image search? No, I didn't, but I
Whatever
should.
you're doing when Kimberly Williams-Paisley is on screen, you're doing the opposite when Claire is on
Exactly.
screen. You're
Yeah,
like, I gotta
exactly.
get me some of
No,
that.
yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even mention that Claire showed up to her family meeting in jeans, which was just such a sartorial contrast to
Yeah.
like the massive puffy dress we saw.
Yeah.
Lily
And
in.
Lily, wore, it was like ribbon straps. And
Yeah.
I probably would have worn what Lily was.
No, they were both really pretty, but it was such a fun
No, they were both, yeah,
contrast.
totally.
So she looks great, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Anyway, fashion sidebar over. She arrives and they hug, and John asks if she's nervous, and she says terrified. and he tells her to give him her hands to hold, and she says she's sweating, and she keeps saying this and like taking her hands away to
And he's
like
like, I
wipe
don't
them.
even
He's like,
feel
I
it.
don't
And she's
feel
like,
it.
but
Please
I
let me hold
do.
your hands.
And John is clearly just like excited. Like the vibes are like very good. He's
I'm
not trying
so
to
annoyed by
hide
how
it.
likable I found this.
I
I'm
know, me
like,
too.
ugh.
I found it so charming. I was like, fucking, God damn it, John.
God damn it.
Yeah, he tells Claire that she looks beautiful. He's like, it's been one hell of a ride. He's like, I did have concerns about our different outlooks on life, but somehow it works perfectly. He says, the old saying still rings true today. Opposites attract.
Someone told him about this, that it wasn't something he discovered for the first time.
He's like, look, on our first date, I was just so struck by how beautiful you were. And every day I've had the privilege of watching you come into your own. He then says something odd where he's like, I really admire your stoic attitude towards life. I was like, is she stoic? Does he just mean reserved?
She subscribes to the philosophy of stoicism. She is a stoic.
He's more like, he more seems to mean that she's just like has a calming and like chill presence.
Yeah.
And then he says this, which I died because this is Farmer Wants a Wife. He's like, I think we can both agree farm work isn't your forte, but it actually doesn't matter.
I know.
I was like,
And they
oh,
laugh.
because you're not a farmer.
You're not a farmer. And insofar as you are a farmer, you won't need your wife to do any of that work because you're like from a wealthy family and you will just like hire
Actual qualified farm
farmhands.
workers. Yeah.
Like this is Farmer Wants a Wife, but it's more like just like me, John, a law student with a family farm that my grandfather owns,
Right.
looking to find a hottie with a body.
He was even saying on Kristen's podcast, he was like, yeah, me and Matt, like people just slid in our DMs and recruited us from the show. And he was like, I guess I had enough outdoor photos on my Instagram.
Jesus Christ. Okay. I have to say he did keep being like, I'm an urban cowboy.
Yeah.
Like he's so she's like, what do you say, Claire? You want to give this a shot? And she says yes. And then
So
he's like,
cute.
and then he says like, cue that or something.
And like it must have been like a PA or something drops, I guess, from the
drops the
barn, from the
scarf.
top window, drops the scarf that she had crocheted him at the beginning of the season. He puts it around Claire's neck. They kiss. He like takes off his cowboy hat, puts it on her. They seem super giggly and giddy.
Yeah, that they truly like they got the little rom-com arc and the little rom-com moment at the end. With
Oh
the
yeah, and
scarf.
it worked
He,
on
like,
me.
Pulls
It
her
really-
in for a kiss with
It really worked on me.
God damn it, John.
I know. And they're like talking to the camera and he's like, yeah, when we first met, it was horrible. Like we were so awkward. We thought it was going to go nowhere. But he's like, then she brought me a scarf and I think that really solidified it. And
Yeah.
it turns out that for the finale, she has made him like a matching hat. So he
That's
like
so
gives her the
cute.
cowboy hat. He puts on like the beanie. She's joking to the camera, thank you, Grandma, for teaching me how to crochet. It's just very cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, if you want to find a man, you have to learn how to do ladylike things like fiber arts, If you can't make him clothes with your bare hands,
What
then
even is the
what
point
do you,
of view?
What do you bring to the marriage? What are girls for? They are for crocheting you clothes, obviously.
I think this is, though, telling because John is like, a future with Claire looks so fun and constantly exciting. And I'm like, here's the thing. He thinks he wants one thing. But when it
Yeah.
comes down to it, he wants to mix it up from what he knows.
Yeah. Men often don't know what they want, and they are more successful on dating shows if they are open to accepting that they want something different than what they told
Thought they
themselves they
wanted.
wanted.
100%.
And that is the Sean Lowe magic, and it is also the Farmer John magic. And now that I'm a little bit older, I'm
like, is this a trap?
Right. I
For-
worry
yeah.
about this for Claire a little bit. I think I thought it was so romantic for Catherine because I wanted to be chosen so badly. And I was like, so many men seem to want something that I don't resemble. But he chose someone who is way more like hot than me. But, like she's
But like
more relatable
quirky
to me.
and like not against
Yeah.
type for this kind of show. Yeah.
And then like Catherine married Sean and moved to Texas and had 3 kids and isn't a graphic designer anymore. So I'm like,
And
is
just, like,
this
goes
a
to
trap
his
for Claire?
evangelical church all the time. So,
Right. I'm like,
yeah.
does this mean like that she is gonna get, sucked into a sort of a lifestyle that isn't what she had always dreamed of. I hope not. I hope that instead it's more of a mutual influence that they have. I hope that it's a positive relationship because they are unfortunately like very cute together.
I know.
And
It's a real mind fuck. I've been on such a roller coaster with my feelings towards Farmer John this season. It's been a wild ride. So that brings us to our final Farmer Matt. And I was like, how are they going to top this? Like,
they don't really, but
they
there's
don't
a
really,
little drama.
but it is fun. It is fun. Yeah, no, they don't. I was like, you kind of should have had Farmer John go last.
Oh, yeah.
My humble opinion, but
100%.
whatever. That was like the big rom-com for me, but sure.
Yeah. Big
I
mistake.
wonder if he was like, if they were like, some of our base is going to be angry that he chose Claire.
Well, and some of the base is angry.
Yeah, no, I was looking in the comments and it's all of these people being like, oh, John, you said you cared about like God. Clearly you don't.
Maybe he's just doing the work. You're all like, oh, I care about God so much. But are you out there recruiting godless liberals to bring to your evangelical church? That's what Sean Lowe did. Now John is doing the work as well. And you're just complaining online instead of bringing new souls to Christ. Makes me sick, honestly.
I love this show. I'm sorry. It really reclaims some of like the joy of old Bachelor for me.
Oh, it really does. So let's talk about Farmer Matt. He is ready to commit to one person. So today's decision is big, and he's got two wonderful blondes. Jordan, who stood out to him from day one. I wonder why.
The only thing he says about her. He keeps just being like, from day one, she stood out to me.
I know. And he keeps
nothing
being
else to
like,
say.
we connected really fast. And I'm like, what you mean is that she is incredibly hot and well-groomed. Like, she is a performer. She has the look. Like, she is striking. And you saw her and you were like, that looks like the best one.
Yeah. But also, she's talented. He loves her voice because she is a singer and she's caring. Chelsea, on the other hand, is special to him in a lot of ways. She's a really strong woman and they get each other and he can see a future with her. So I was like, okay. So seems like you're going to choose Chelsea. Matt's final choice site is like up on the mountain because like his farm is like in the mountains. You can like see the whole coast and all of the other. It's a beautiful vista. And they were like, grab 3 wine barrels and a handful of earthenware vases, put some like dried flowers in them. We've done our job. You have this beautiful view.
You have the vista. It's perfect. And the women approach in the cars. Chelsea says she came into this journey looking for a partner and a soulmate, and she's starting to fall for Matt. This show is just so different from The Bachelor always in the sense that they will get to the finale and be like, I'm starting to have some feelings that are more than friendship. And
it is more realistic in a way.
Jordan says she wants a husband and a family, and if Matt chooses her today, she'll be the happiest girl in the world. Unfortunately for Jordan, this isn't her day. She's up first. She's wearing a little burgundy velvet strapless mini dress with sky-high platform heels that looks
I was, like,
just
worried.
wildly out of place on the mountain.
I know. I was like, you're going to fall down this mountain. She has better balance than me.
Yeah, I kept thinking of like Carrie Bradshaw walking down the runway.
Yeah, exactly.
And Matt says that from the first date, he felt so comfortable with Jordan, he's at a loss for words. His family loved her, and he's been thinking and praying about this decision. He tells her, I feel like you are right up my alley, and you have everything that I've been looking for, and you're so gorgeous. But I just feel like I've gained a stronger connection with Chelsea.
Matt, like, tried to do the John approach, but badly.
I mean,
he's
listen,
like, you check every box.
I have to say, you're right up my
girl.
alley is kind of like would piss me off. Like, oh, I'm right up your alley.
I feel like he was really like, you're really good on paper.
Right.
Like, no one wants to be told that, Matt.
Right. Like, there's no reason I shouldn't like you.
And
You're
yet I
like
don't.
completely my type, and yet I don't. Listen, it's very hard to break up with someone without pissing them off. This did not succeed at that. Jordan is furious.
She's mostly furious because very recently, she was like, I feel like you only view me as a friend. And he was like, no, I'm so into you.
Right. And of course he did
That's why
that
she's
because
pissed.
he couldn't have the show end right before the
Right. I was
finale.
like, I do sort of feel for Matt in this situation because it is literally his job to bring two people to the finale.
Yeah,
but
have
I
we
also
ever had a farmer
understand
with only one girl
No,
at the
I don't
only
think
one
so.
wife.
Only one wife. I do understand why Jordan is pissed. So she's like,
course.
looks at him like, you're joking, right? And he's like, And she brings it up. She's like, look, I gave you a really easy out the other night on our date and you didn't take it. She's like, you literally just said everything you thought I wanted to hear. Whatever. It's just such a shame because we could have left this process as really good friends. But now I'm just leaving with a bad taste in my mouth because you led me on. And Matt attempts to respond to this and doesn't do the best job. He starts off okay. He's like, look, I meant everything I said to you. This was a really hard decision. And she's just like looking at him like, fuck you, dude. And then he says, I'd love it if you could stay here. Matt. He's like, yeah, I wish I could pick both of you. And
This was so funny. He
was
gave her the perfect
hilarious.
setup.
I know, I loved it. It
She's
was
like-
incredible.
She's like, yeah, I know you would have loved it if all the girls could have stayed here. You said that multiple times, but that's not how this works.
Yeah, this is just her like pent up frustration. She's like, yeah. We all know.
Yeah, we
you
get
didn't
it.
make any choices.
We're all
I
the
got
same
it.
to you.
Yeah.
You don't care. Like, we're just a big mass of women to you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I wish you nothing but the best, and I have nothing else to say.
And he should have just let her walk away. And instead he says, I'll be praying for you. Which just like, Matt, that is a condescending thing to say. Let her be angry.
Yeah. Especially when you're saying it in response to her being like mad at you. It's
Right.
sort of
And
like,
I have nothing. He's like, oh, I'll be praying for you. It's so condescending. And Jordan, I mean, she honestly.
pray
she
for
was-
yourself, Matt.
Yeah, she was great. Jordan walks away and says to the cameras, I'm pissed. And she says, bless his heart. Oh, he had to add in there, I'll be praying for you. No, I'll be praying for you, buddy. It's perfect.
Incredible. I loved that she called that out.
Me
I did not
too.
expect her to call that
Oh,
out.
Jordan is sharp. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, Jordan does not seem like a woman who takes shit.
Right.
Like, she will give you space, give you space, give you space, but she is boundaried.
Right. Well, and she knows what that means. Like
Yeah.
she's like, no, just like bless his heart. I'll be praying for you in a setting like this where there is some friction or conflict.
Right,
There
she's
is a
like, no,
very
no,
clear
no.
message
No, no,
there that
no.
is like, you need the help of prayers.
Right. And she's
Not
like, no,
me.
you need my prayers. Get fucked is what she doesn't say, but is the undertone.
She says that he said a lot of things that made her believe he was going to choose her. I do feel like he was in kind of a tough position, but part of that is
I
because he
agree.
did a really bad job throughout the season of making the women feel invested. And then he had to confront this question at the very end of like,
Right.
I feel like you're not even into me. And so he had to be like, I am into you, which makes it seem like he's just full of shit and he's not
and
saying
I
anything
do
genuine.
think I do think he was into her. He just he
To an
didn't play
extent.
it that well. He was into her to an extent. He was like attracted to her. I don't think he was like, you're just my friend, but he had made his decision.
Yeah.
It's a tough position to be in for any lead. That is part of the lead's job, and it is part of the lead's job to like fall on the sword if someone's mad at you at the end. Like, that's just kind of what it is. But
Yeah.
just
And it's part
don't
of the
say
lead's
you'll
job.
pray for her.
It's part of the lead's job to pray for the person that they let down. They need it. They're really suffering.
Oh, no, this was giving to me like Latia energy.
I know. She's like, come on now.
Yeah, come on now.
And Matt's like, that was horrible, but I'm picking Chelsea and I'm excited. So Chelsea arrives wearing a one shoulder maxi dress that to me was felt more like it fit the setting.
I agree. It's like a deep terracotta print. It was really pretty.
She's like, fancy seeing you here. And
They just have a good rapport. There's like an ease between them.
Matt says he's not very good at these things, but he's going to try his best. He thinks she's so gorgeous. Pretty sure he said that to Jordan also. But anyway, he's like, you're so gorgeous. I'm so happy you've been here. We started slow, but we really built something. And she's like, I love how you take care of people and how passionate you are about your business. And our personalities are so similar. And they kind of joke that two reserved people dating each other could be a little bit of trouble. But it seems like it's working for them. He says that every day he's more impressed by Chelsea, but... And she's like, but what? But then, like, there isn't a but.
There's no but.
There's no but.
He's like, but I like everything about you.
I'm so impressed by you every day, but really am impressed
like
by everything
you.
about you. What? It literally seems like they were just like, at some point, say but.
And then he took that to heart, but like didn't have anything
Didn't
to
have a follow up. Like, there are ways, we've seen so many creative ways on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette for people to put a but into
and I think that
a
Jay
proposal.
did it. Jay did it with Grace.
Did he? I don't remember.
I'm
that
pretty
already.
sure.
He's like, yeah, when I'm not with you, I'm thinking about you. I like everything about you. I think the world of you. And if you want to do this, I'm all yours.
That
I'm
was
not going to
cute.
ask you to marry me today, but you better someday. But you better someday, because I'm never dating anyone else again.
He's like, this has been a traumatic experience. I don't want to do
He's
it
like, I'm
again.
done.
So
Women are always asking you to make decisions and commit to things. I'm exhausted. You ever heard of decision fatigue, Chelsea?
fucking sucks. So at the very end, we check back in with each happy couple. They all like ride off into the sunset and make out. And yeah, we had a reunion last year, but I didn't see it on the schedule.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're getting a reunion this year.
Bummer.
Honestly, I would like some clarity on where some of these relationships are at.
Same.
We did some digging around. The only couple that is like definitely clearly confirmed to be together still is Claire and John, which would not have been my guess.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that they're not yet at the point where he has to decide whether he's okay with her having a job.
No, I
so
mean,
maybe
they're
that
long
has-
distance.
Yeah.
I listened to an interview they gave to like Taste of Country, which I didn't even realize was a publication. I guess I'm not the target demo.
No. There are so
But-
many publications.
Yeah. And they were doing this interview sitting in Claire's place in Chicago. And they're basically like, we've been dating for 8 months. They like went to Tulum together. They've been going on trips. They were like trying to see each other like once a month at least. And they only live a 4.5-hour drive from each other.
Yeah.
So
and I do want to take this opportunity to say that St. Louis is not in the Deep South. I did misspeak about that in a previous episode. Apologies to everyone in the Deep South and St. Louis.
yeah, no,
It's more like low Midwest.
Yeah, it's a Midwest. So
Yeah.
it's not that far from Chicago. They can
No.
drive back and forth. This made sense to me. And also, John is actually just like a cosmopolitan rich man who lives in a city.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that he's like, hell yeah, Chicago. Let's go out to all the good restaurants.
Yeah. So they're thriving. I continue to
Have
be-
follow-up questions.
I have so much ambivalence about this whole situation, but if they're happy, I'm so happy for them. Jay and Grace don't follow each other on social media.
posted nothing. Like I saw that Karina and Jay were like commenting nice things on each other's posts.
So probably Jay and Grace dated and it didn't end.
It seems
well.
like something bad happened because they do not follow each other. Like Zoe and Colton do follow each other, but they both like posted a bit, but not about each other.
Yeah, as
So-
of this taping, we have limited information. Maybe
Yeah,
more will
it-
have come out by the time this comes out, but
It definitely strikes us like they are not together, which is not surprising. Again, she's 22. He has a son. Like,
right.
not surprising. Matt and Chelsea's current relationship status is more confusing to me. We have been debating this back and forth. Matt posted a carousel of photos of himself and Chelsea from the finale with the caption, "Never thought that view could get any better." And a few of the IG mutuals were commenting things like, "There they are." And I saw one of Chelsea's friends comment like, "Best couple ever" or something. Then he took the
Yeah.
post down. So I was like, are they not together? But then he put it back up.
And I feel like it was just archived because the same comments
It was.
are
It was
there.
archived. No, it was archived,
Okay.
but it disappeared. It reappeared. And Kimberly Williams-Paisley like wrote congratulations on it. Also, as of now, Chelsea did comment on the post. And to be honest, even this, I can't tell what the vibes are. She says, "Can't believe we did this, but so grateful we did. God knew what he was doing. You're the best." So thankful for you. Heart.
I feel like they're together. I wonder if he archived it because he wasn't sure if they were supposed to reveal yet whether they were still together. Like maybe they're trying to play it safe with like promo stuff.
At this point, I think they are together. Someone commented, I better get an invite to the wedding. And Matt said, like, done.
Okay, so they're
Like, so
together.
I think they're
just
together.
Like, it seems like they were like a little anxious that they weren't supposed to do
But it's odd
too
because
much.
Claire and John were doing press. So I was just like, what is
Yeah.
going? It's just a little weird. I was like,
It's a
what
little
is
weird.
going on here? So I think they are together.
Yeah.
She posted a photo that did seem to be from after the finale of her and Matt and maybe his nephew.
Yeah. Also, it seems like he and Jordan are good now because he's posted pictures with her and Chelsea recently, and like she commented in like a friendly way.
Yeah. She gave an interview also to like Taste of Country or whatever and said
Taste of Country is all over this feed.
they're my only source of information for post show. And I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't have time, but she said like she's ready to find love again or something.
That's great.
Good for them. So that brings us to the end of this beautiful season of Farmer Wants a Wife. I am still shook by how much I enjoyed this season. I feel like we got in on the ground level and we persevered. And
I
we
want
were
them to start
rewarded.
doing it Bachelor style. I want them to do like one half of the year, they do a season with 4 female farmers.
That would rule.
And a bunch of like hot farmhands who are like looking to finally like have their own, place to call home. And then the other half of the year, they're filming for male farmers. And then we just cycle it through all year.
I'm not opposed, but Claire, we do have a lot of content to cover coming up. So let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, this would be during like another Bachelor off season. I don't know. Listen, I'm just saying I'm getting really enthusiastic about this franchise and
So
what it
am
has
I.
to say about America. And what a ride.
What a beautiful ride. On that note, that's it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. This episode was edited by Ren Woods. Our theme music is by Tamar Haviv, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like our show, remember to follow us, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, and of course, spread the word to all of your friends about Love to See It.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and on Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. And you can find our newsletter Rich Text on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com. I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at EmmaLadyRose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey: Eric Donnelly, Aaron Constantino, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, Carly Snyder, and Hillary Schupp.
We'll be back soon.